That's the National Democratic Congress goes to yet another crucial National Delegates Congress on Saturday to elect its national executive officers to steer the affairs of the party towards election 2020 and beyond. There is a lot of anxiety as to which candidate will emerge victorious. 65 aspirants will be contesting for various national positions. About 15,000 people made up of 9,350 delegates and 5,650 observers are expected to throng the Trade Fair Center in Accra to elect the national executive. So far, the race for the national chairmanship and the general secretary seems to be the keenest. There are 5 stalwarts of the party vying for the national chairmanship. They are former Trade and Industry Minister and former MP for Keta, Dan Abudakwi, the party's former Director of Elections, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, former Attorney General and current Vice Chairperson, Mrs. Betty Modi Idrisu, a businessman, Daniel Anang, and Alhaji Hudu Yaya. Currently, the national chairman of the NDC is Mr. Kofi Potofi, who is not seeking re-election. Well, 2 heavyweights of the party, Johnson Asiedu Nketia and Kuku Anyidoho, are vying for the position of General Secretary. So far, it does appear that the hype surrounding the Congress is really about who becomes the General Secretary, as Mr. Anyidoho, who is the Deputy General Secretary in charge of operations, is busily campaigning to unseat his boss, Asiedu Nketia, the substantive General Secretary. We'll get to speak with some of those contesting in a bit and also bring you a rundown of how we at JoyNews will be covering the event. But first let's hear from Chairman of the Planning Committee, Alex Segbefia, on preparations so far.
Well, we have a security subcommittee, and the security subcommittee is taking account of all security for the Congress. And so we are not entertaining within the security subcommittee any groupings. Everything is under one heading, security subcommittee, with very senior, stalwart people who have dealt with security for years in control of what is happening. So we don't expect there to be too much. We've also given certain directions, and I only give a few. So, for example, we want to make sure that all the aspirants are seated by a certain time.
What time?
We make sure they pass it on, but we are saying that between 9:30 and 10 they should be seated.
Okay.
So once the aspirants are seated, it takes away a little bit of pressure because they are the ones people are always looking for various pressure. Once they are in the hall and seated, then it means that everybody then has no reason to be outside. Let me put it that way. Secondly, we are truncating the normal type of registration. So as opposed to people going to the registration center, we are going to do the registration once they're in the hall and seated, and they pick up their packs, then they'll do the registration, because for almost 10,000 people, 9,000 odd people, if you want to go through a registration process in the morning, it might take you might not start your event till midday, and that is not the idea. The idea is not about registration. So we want everybody to come in, and then the secretaries of each of the constituencies will just do the registration, because the idea of the registration is just to know who's come, as opposed to any other thing, because the accreditation is done beforehand. So that will also then diffuse some of the issues that happen with regard to security in and around the dome, and might also help us to start on time. And we hope, the aim is to start at 10 o'clock, but we give it to God and hope that happens.
So how many police personnel are you deploying to this event?
I can't go into the security personnel details. We know that we have contacted the regional command. They are fully aware, and safe to say that there will be security presence of a level that meets the number of people that are coming. I can't go beyond that. Everything will be under control.
Right, and finally, the voting processes,
yes.
Is it going to be by regional balance, regional turns, or how's it going to be?
No, we are going to have a number of polling stations, and we are going to assign regions based on the size of the region and the number of delegates the regions have. So the 2 biggest regions are Greater Accra and Ashanti. We may decide, depending on the day and how many booths we are putting up, to have them have 1 each, or pair one with one very small other region, or with the diaspora. But the whole idea is that no polling station, we'll have a minimum of 5 polling stations, possibly even 6. and no polling station will have more than 2 regions to deal with. And so that and there will be also an increased number of voting positions, polling booths, which would mean that you can speed up the process, because that's what people waiting for people to actually do what they have to do sometimes is what causes the delay.
How many polling booths are we looking at for each?
I think 4 for each region. I think there are 10 sites per region. Okay. But then moving apart from the accreditation and into the polling booths, there's even more than that. So you're going to have a huge number. We are getting a huge number of EC officials, but because of the size of the hall, it can accommodate it. So we are hoping that the voting process should be, will take a little while, but we hope not too long, and will be within reason.
Alex Segbefia there. In the meantime, former NDC Central Regional Chairman Allotey Jacobs is cautioning delegates against retaining Johnson Asiedu Nketia as the party's General Secretary. He believes the victory for the man popularly known as General Mosquito could spell doom for the party's electoral fortunes. NDC delegates will on Saturday, as I've indicated earlier, converge here in Accra to decide which individuals lead the party as national officers. Mr. Jacobs tells JoyNews there is a wind of change blowing in the party.
For General Secretary, you have been very critical of the incumbent Johnson Asiedu Nketia.
He has divided the party. In fact, he has divided and destroyed the fabric or the foundation of the party. And I insist that if it will really be reasonable to all the delegates, they should vote him out.
What do you mean by he has divided the party? Is that a fair allegation to make?
Look, what he did to me when I was the regional chairman, it needs not to be told. Because as a politician, sometimes you need to flag down certain issues that has, emanated from your chairmanship.
But do you think the delegates feel that way?
Well, I'm sure probably he might win, because as for the box, the Akama will say, you might not know. But looking at where he's been going, I mean, for the first time, Asiedu Nketia is now coming down and meeting delegates at their various areas or their constituencies, and paying transport fare, feeding and others. It tells you that the ground is not soft for him. But well, at the end of the day, it is the delegates who will decide. But I'm saying, and I keep on repeating, this is not about prophecy. If we don't take care and we vote for Asiedu Nketia to become the General Secretary, there's the likelihood for us to lose the 2020 elections.
How about the other positions? National organizer,
National organizer, I'm going for Joshua Kamba. For national communication, I'm going for Sami Jemfi. These are the explosive or dynamic persons who really can help who they are should he win the chairmanship, and to galvanize the forces on the ground and to make sure that we win the 2020 elections.
Thank you.
Allotey Jacobs there. Well, he's also tipping Alhaji Hudu Yaya to emerge victorious in the chairmanship race.
Oh, it's going to be smooth, it's going to be peaceful. I mean, you really can see a change in NDC now, because there's the need to rebrand, and looking at the way things are going as regards to aspirants. I'm sure we are all being fair. We're not fighting against one another. We've not been doing character assassination on the mind. But then we have our choices. So I hope that my choices will be the winners at the end of the day.
What are your choices? Let's start with chairman first.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Alhaji Hudu Yaya. He has a background of experience. He's been twice the General Secretary of the NDC, and during his period, we never saw anything like divisions, groupings within the party. He's somebody who is a reconciliator. He's somebody amiable. He receives everyone. When Hudu was General Secretary and you go to the NDC headquarters, when he alights from his vehicle, he meets each and every one at the premises within the fora area before he walks to his office, and he will make sure he listens to each and every one who had then sought his audience. And this is the type of person that we need to become our national chairman. And that is why I'm rooting for him. Because we need a strong person who can never be stampeded, who can never be coerced. And that is rooting for you.
Allotey Jacobs there. Well, let's get on the lines now and speak to Fred Agbenyo. Fred is vying for the position of National Communications Officer of the NDC, and he's also already an executive of this particular team. Ms. Agbenyo, thank you very much for your time this afternoon here on the show.
Thank you for having me. Okay,
I am wondering if you were listening to Ms. Allotey Jacobs. Were you?
I did.
Okay. What do you make of his comments?
He's entitled to his comments.
Certainly he is. What do you make of it?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Yeah.
It does speak volumes about whether or not the party is united, even at this point where you are looking to unseat a government. That's what basically you're working towards. It does look like the party isn't as united. How united would you say the party is, even as you go into this election?
Well, this is a democratic party, and we are going for a democratic election. Everybody's entitled, both based on his own conviction, and you can't coerce anybody to vote for anybody. All the aspirants are not a possibility of going around the country to sell their messages to various delegates. It is for them to make a decision come tomorrow. And so I don't see any issue of division in this. The fact that somebody does not support anybody does not mean that doesn't like the person. He may have a reason why he thinks that some other person is better than some other person. And so I don't see that be any form of division, except to say that that is their right, and that's what I've decided to do. And you have to respect everybody's right.
Okay. Well, before we went into the, I mean, when I say we, I'm talking about all of us as Ghanaians. But before the MPP, for example, went into their Congress, there were talks about unity in the party. One would have thought that there's more unity in an opposition party, because then you're thinking of how to get together and be strong, come with a strong force to unseat the governing party. Looking at what's happening, would you say there is a particular strategy with which you would want to unite everybody else? Because like you're saying, he's entitled, hold on for me, let me learn. Like you're saying, he's entitled to his opinion, and I'm sure everybody else has different opinions as you go into the election. Whoever you elect, what is the strategy to make sure that everyone in the party comes together to unseat the government as you're looking to do?
Well, I'm surprised you're talking about this unity where we are going for an election. I have not seen anything that looks like unity in our party. We are a very united party. We have been together all this while. As far as I've been going around doing their campaign, I've not heard anybody got anybody or cast transgression on anybody. So far, we've done a very decent campaign. We are going to the election. As I said earlier, winners will met. And once the winners will met, all of us rally around those who met, including my very self. I'm very confident I'm going to win. And then we move the party forward. The most important thing is to win the election, rally around the umbrella, and put the elephant in the forest. And that is what all of us have resolved to do.
Okay.
And so I don't know where the subject of the unity comes in here. It's the case that we are going for the election. People must have a choice. And once you have a choice, you can't stop the family those choices. But when we see the election, all of us need to come back together as one party and then move forward and fight our common enemy.
Okay. The issue about unity comes up because people have different choices, like you said. But Mr. Agbenyo, how are you prepared yourself to win your position? As you say, you're very confident.
Well, I think that Fred has been a member of this party for a very long time. I started my political career in the branch as an executive. I was once a Diamond Acting branch secretary. I became a coordinating executive. I was a ward coordinator. I was once a retained president and the University of Ghana, Lagos, Greater Accra State coordinator. I worked with the Greater Accra Regional Youth Wing. Later, I contested as a deputy national youth organizer at the Wing. I've been in the media working on behalf of the NDC for the past 13 years. And currently, as I speak, I'm a deputy national communication officer. And I believe I've gained enough information. And all I'm telling my people is that if you vote for me to come and manage the communication wing of the party, I'm not asking them to vote for me to become a communicator. So I'm already a communicator, and I think that I've learned several lessons from this that I've done all these years. It is that experience and expertise I want to bring to bear in managing the entire communication of the party. And that message is the resonates with the rank and file. And so they've given the assurance that they believe that our party wants to serve diligently, and the time comes for it to be rewarded. they will never turn their back at you. And so I am very hopeful that by the close of this tomorrow, Federal will emerge as a national communication authority.
Okay. Well, are you for maintaining the status quo, or are you for change?
I don't know how it is.
Do you expect that there will be some changes, at least in the executive body as it stands? Because people have concerns. They've said that the team, well, the same team at the moment is the team that led the party into opposition.
Ordinarily, I would have found that we leave that anything.
Can you say that again, Mr. Agbenyo? I didn't hear you.
I'm saying that ordinarily, I would have said I would leave that for the delegates to decide as to who remains of the national executive officer. As a political party, we definitely would get the experience and the new person. Because you can't keep out the entire room, everybody else can bring a completely new set of people and expect them to win elections 2020. So I am very delegates that they know what they do for us. They are going to accordingly, they know what all of us are looking for, and the target is like 2020. So they will not make any mistake at all.
Okay. Well, I didn't quite hear you, but if I got you clearly, you're saying, well, the point you're making is that you believe that there is experience, and that experience counts as well, Mr. Agbenyo.
I'm saying that we are going to have whatever you want to call it, whether it's vigilance or new persons want to come on board, nobody is against it. But I'm saying that it should be a blend of experience, those who have been there before, those who know how the system runs, and new persons coming on board, and then we can move on.
Okay.
So far, if you look at the youth and the women's space, it does appear new persons have come on board. And so the other positions, naturally, to expect that we maintain some old persons who were there, who saw what happened around the 2015 election, so they can bring their experience to bear on future activities.
Okay. Mr. Agbenyo, I wish you all the best in your endeavor. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon here on the call. Fred Agbenyo, there, he's an executive of the NDC at the moment, and he's actually a deputy communications officer. He's vying to the position of a substantive communications officer at the moment. Let's get on the line, speak to head of our political desk here at JoyNews, Evans Mensah. Evans, can you hear me? We'll try and raise Evans back on the line. Well, we'll find out from him what our viewers should expect of our coverage. Obviously, you know that we only give you the best in-depth analysis, comprehensive coverage. You get it all here on JoyNews, and that is exactly what I was hoping that Evans could take us through. So we whet your appetite a little bit, so you know where we're going with this. Evans, I do have you on the line. Evans, let's talk briefly about what to expect. But even before we go into what to expect, I'm wondering, let's get into the party dynamics as well. It looks like it's very keen at the chairmanship level. The incumbent is no longer it's not seeking re-election, but it looks like it's already heated. Betty Modi Drisu is there, Dana Budakwi is there, Hudu Yaya is there, and this businessman, Mr. Annan, as well. What do you see from where you sit, Evans?
Well, the chairmanship position is key, and the challenge that, of course, the others will have is making a point that they're different from what brought them into a position. And the likes of Hudu Yaya has been tipped as a very strong candidate to win this particular slot. But also remember that we also have Mr. Fosu Ampofo, who is there, who is also pitching his experience. Although some have leveled allegations against him as being part of the problem in 2016 because he was director of elections, and yet their election collation machine sort of broke down just hours after collation had started. So people pitch Hudu Yaya as a favorite, but he's going to have stiff competition. Dana Budakwi is a name that many know, has been trying to contest and lead the party in some form for a while. Has it succeeded? Whether he succeeds this time, nobody knows. But most people tip Dana Budakwi to win because of his background. In fact, there was rumor at some point, which some people suggested, and when you dug into it, there was actually a meeting where some of the party's big wigs put his name up as a compromise candidate, so to speak, that everybody else should rally around him and let's present one individual to lead the party. The others objected to that. In fact, some people were very vocal against that. And then later the party was forced to come out to say that, that decision wasn't exactly that. And so clearly there are senior members of the party who believe that he is the man. And I'm pretty sure come Saturday, we'll see on the ground a lot of, convergence around the candidacy of Udiaya.
Interesting. Evans, well, let's talk about our coverage this Saturday. What should our viewers expect?
Well, of course, our viewers should expect nothing less than complete, comprehensive, all-round coverage from the beginning to the end and beyond. And we are going to start this right from the morning, and it's going to be both on radio and television at the same time. We're deploying all our resources to cover this. We're going to have drones, we're going to have multiple cameras, we're going to have a crack team of political analysts, the best political team you can find anywhere on radio and television, covering this with some very exciting guests joining us. People like Professor Jampo will join us, Dr. Drosai will join us. And we're going to have a regular editorial in the evening, an editors forum in the evening where Gift to yourself, myself, Raymond will all be part of the analysis. And so that is going to be our focus. And we're going to be setting up at the trade fair just to make sure that we cover everything from drones to cameras to everything that you need to make this not only informative but exciting, covering any political. And people who knew what we did in the 2016 elections should know what to expect. And even for the NPP Congress as well, which happened absolutely, yes. In Kufurija. Evans, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Evans Spencer is head of our political desk here at JoyNews, and certainly you know what to expect. And the day is actually just tomorrow, so keep your dials right here and let's follow the discussion. We all want to make our nation better.